This is MS Talks 2.0, Let's Discuss Facts, a series brought to you by Novartis. As we've discussed throughout this series, there are many misconceptions that surround multiple sclerosis. One of the biggest is that MS and motherhood. There is a general lack of understanding, and there are many questions on whether you can live a normal life and be there for your family the way you want to be, or even whether you can have children at all. Here with us today to get greater clarity on this condition is Dr. Suzan Noori, consultant neurologist and MS specialist at University Hospital Sharjah, and director Dr. Suzan Noori Medical Centre, to talk motherhood and MS. Thank you so much for joining us.
Most welcome. My pleasure.
Let's just dive right in. Can you live a normal life with MS?
Yes, definitely. A woman with multiple sclerosis, they can't have a normal life, getting pregnant and getting healthy pregnancy, healthy children, because MS does not have to stop a woman from getting pregnant. And in fact, that a woman with multiple sclerosis, they are just as likely like a normal person, like a normal woman. They can have and can enjoy motherhood, enjoy parenthood.
That's amazing to hear. Thank you for breaking that misconception. However, is there anything that mothers should be aware of before they try to conceive?
Right. Okay. So definitely before getting pregnant, we have 2 points that we have to emphasize. First of all, their MS has to be well controlled on treatment, at least 1 year before getting pregnant or before trying to get pregnant. And this is very important because getting pregnancy while the disease is not controlled might lead to having more relapses, and that might affect the pregnancy itself. So this is the first point. The second point, that pregnancy in general, we advise that pregnancy should be planned, not only for MS patients, but in general. But it is particularly important for patients with multiple sclerosis, especially if they're taking treatment for MS, because we know that some MS treatment can cause some complications with pregnancy or with the babies. And certain medications have to be stopped for a certain period of time before getting pregnant. That's what we call washout period. So we remove the medicine completely from the body before getting pregnant. Of course, we have so many other medications that do not have this risk and can be taken until the last minute when the woman finds out she is pregnant, then she can stop it. But not all the medicines have the same the characteristics. So we advise that pregnancy should be planned, and this has to be arranged with the patients and her treating neurologist.
And what in the case of an unplanned pregnancy?
Pregnancy, if happened unplanned, and unfortunately this happens on almost 40%, 50% of our patients, so they have to stop the medicine completely. And we have from the registries for pregnancy that most of these pregnancies will go to term without any complications, and even for the follow-up of the babies after delivery, they are doing well, no issues. But of course, there are 1 or 2 medicines that we need to do what we call like accelerated washout, so that we need to wash out the remaining drug from the body. But if, as you mentioned, if happened unplanned, so nothing we to do, just to stop the medicine and to carry on. And there is no need to go for abortion, no need to go for anything.
Yeah. And are there any risk factors in general associated with having pregnancy with MS?
In fact, no. So getting pregnant or carrying a child does not impose any risk for the mother. And maybe 30 years, 40 years ago, neurologists used to discourage women who have MS from getting pregnant, from becoming pregnant, because of the misconception at that time that pregnancy might worsen their condition. So scientists, with the observations that pregnancy is fine with MS, so now we have all the evidence that pregnancy can protect the woman from getting relapses during the pregnancy. So especially in the second and third trimester. So it is safe to get pregnant, and of course there is no other risk of getting miscarriages or abortions, and there is no risk of having premature delivery, and there is no risk of having ectopic pregnancy or pregnancy outside the uterus. So it is safe for a woman who, of course, provided that she has a well-controlled disease before she gets pregnant.
What are the types of fears that some mothers might come to, some of the concerns that mothers to be with MS might have?
Most of the time when we diagnose a woman with multiple sclerosis, always the question will be, can I get pregnant? Can I lead a normal life? Can I have a family? So this is a concern of almost, because just considering that MS is diagnosed in young women between 20s and 40s. So this is the time that they will start their families. So it's a big concern for them for the pregnancy, if MS can affect the disease, if pregnancy is going to make my condition worse, if pregnancy will be transmitted to my children. So these are the types of the concerns that usually we have from the woman when diagnosed with MS.
And what are some of the factors that we should be aware of going into pregnancy with MS?
When a woman plans for pregnancy, she should be aware, as I mentioned, that her disease should be well controlled. So this is one important point. Medicine has to be stopped before getting pregnant, as we mentioned that with the complications of MS. So planned pregnancy, medications has to be stopped. Always please discuss this with your physician, because he would know which medicine and at what time and how long it should be stopped before getting pregnant. Of course, we will advise also for taking the supplements and vitamins as we do for all other women without pregnancy. Some point that we should mention, of course, they can lead normal pregnancy without any issues, but pregnancy, we know that usually it will be having some symptoms like getting fatigue, getting a weakness. This will be a little bit exaggerated for patients with MS. Maybe they have more frequency for passing urine, maybe they can have more frequency of getting infections of urine, maybe they have more fatigue, feeling more weaker. So we would advise for taking supplements and vitamins, and that would support them during pregnancy until delivery time.
So MS symptoms can be exaggerated, however, there isn't any major cause for concern for mothers entering pregnancy for the first time if they have MS.
But it is because, of course, pregnancy is hormonal changes in the body, and that can lead by itself to the feeling of fatigue and tired. This is a bit exaggerated because MS by itself is a disease that can cause fatigue, and fatigue one is the major symptoms that usually our patients will suffer.
So what advice would you give for someone who needs treatment but they still want to breastfeed?
Okay, so this depends on what type of treatment they are on. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, this has to be discussed first with their treating physician, a neurologist. There are some medications that can be taken while breastfeeding, although that we know that very negligible amount that will come to the milk. But still they can breastfeed. So it's not all the medicines that are forbidden during this period during the breastfeeding, I mean. So it depends again on the stability of their disease and the decision with their treating neurologist.
Any stages of motherhood that might be hindered by MS? Stages of parenting?
Not really. If the woman is well prepared for this, and if she doesn't have any kind of physical disabilities, let's say, so definitely, because raising a child is it's a major thing, definitely. And we are lucky in our communities here, we have support from the families and the family members, so from the other friends and family members. So definitely that will be very helpful for a woman to raise a child. But of course, if she has good energy and she's doing her exercise, eating healthy, and taking her supplements and vitamins, she would not have any problem of raising a child.
Well, that's interesting, because I was going to ask, is there any pieces of advice you would share with a mother who's interested in conceiving? Right. So as well as eating healthy and taking supplements, is there anything else that you could recommend?
I would recommend them to be positive, of course, and they should never lose hope. Disease does not affect their normal life, does not affect their wishes to become pregnant or become a parent, and they should expect, of course, and accept the bad days, but bad days are not or do not equal to bad life. They can enjoy life with MS, they can enjoy motherhood, they can enjoy parenthood.
So many questions regarding motherhood and MS, so I really appreciate you coming here to debunk those and to disprove the misconceptions. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Most welcome.
Thank you everyone for joining. Also, MS Talks 2.0, let's discuss facts. Stay tuned for the next episode.